Marksburg Castle rises 160 meters above the Rhine River and the small town of Braubach. It's named after St. Mark the Apostle. The castle was first built in the 13th century and has changed hands 5 times. The current occupier and curator is the historian Gerhard Wagner. He lives there, although the castle does not belong to him.
It's belonged to the German Castles Association since 1900. That's one of Germany's oldest conservation associations, and it takes care of castles and palaces.
The Marksburg is a fairy tale castle. Some 150,000 people come here every year to view this remarkable building. The castle has been preserved over the centuries like hardly any other.
The important thing is that the Marksburg is one of very few castles which have never been destroyed. It was never a ruin that had to be rebuilt. So the structure of the complex is still original.
The castle affords a view over a sizable part of the Rhine Valley, but that's not why it was built here. Its role was to protect a nearby silver mine. Today, the castle houses a museum dedicated to the life of knights. Besides a drawbridge, the castle has many points of interest for visitors. The original blacksmith's workshop, the armory. There's even a torture chamber. The mere sight of these instruments was often enough to provoke a confession. There's only one portrait in the Great Hall, Johann the Belligerent, a 17th century general who once lived here. Right next door is a bedchamber with a fireplace. The furniture has been collected by the German Castles Association. Hardly any of the original fittings were left. That also applies to the kitchen. Most of the castle's rooms were converted to prison cells in the 19th century, including the wine cellar.
That was quite normal in the 19th century. There was no use for castles anymore, so they were turned into prisons. The point was that they were hard to get into and hard to get out of, so the prisoners were well supervised. It really was a prison.
Even the chapel was a cell.
This beautiful star-shaped vaulted ceiling is a Gothic original. The corbels it rests on are late Romanesque. Everything else is a modern reproduction. For example, these beautiful paintings, which look like they could be from the 14th century, are in fact from 1903.
An ancient castle would not be complete without an herb garden. The association has set up a garden with plants used in medieval times.
First of all, we have the plants which were linked to superstitions, were poisonous, or used for magic potions, like foxglove and hemlock. The plants where we are standing were mentioned in the herb books of Hildegard from Bingen. In the 11th and 12th century, she was a very well-known nun from Bingen, which is just 60 kilometers away. She wrote important books about medicinal herbs.
Between Marksburg and Bingen, more than 40 other castles dot the banks of the Rhine, some of which are open to visitors. This romantic and picturesque region is well worth a visit.